Welcome to AI News Digest 2026-06-15. Today's 10 stories. Story 1, Workbench Revisited, Workplace Agents 2 Years On. Story 2, Orchestra 01, Omnimodal Agent Orchestration. Story 3, Capability Minimization as a Safety Primitive, Risk-Aware Causal Gating for Least Privilege LLM Agents. Story 4, Refusal Beyond a Single Direction, a Preliminary Comparison of Diff-in-Means and INLP. Story 5, When Sample Selection Bias Precipitates Model Collapse. Story 6, Hybrid Open-Ended Tri-Evolution Makes Better Deep Researcher. Story 7, UP-NRPA, User Portrait-Based Nested Rollout Policy Adaptation for Planning with Large Language Models in Goal-Oriented Dialogue Systems. Story 8, MA-ProofBench, a two-tiered evaluation of LLMs for Theorem proving in mathematical analysis. Story 9, Best Open Source LLM Models in 2026, Coding Local Agentic AI. Story 10, AI Reshapes Global Labor Market into Two Distinct Paths, PwC 2026 AI Jobs Barometer. Story 1, Workbench Revisited, Workplace Agents 2 Years On. PwC has released its 2026 Global AI Jobs Barometer, and the headline finding is both clarifying and sobering. Artificial intelligence is not creating a single, unified impact on the labor market. Instead, it is splitting the workforce into two very distinct paths, and which path a worker or a company lands on will have profound consequences for wages, employment growth, and economic opportunity. The first path is what PwC calls the professionalized track. These are roles where AI functions as a force multiplier, amplifying what a skilled expert can accomplish rather than replacing them. Think of a financial analyst using AI to process and synthesize market data at speeds no human could match, or a doctor leveraging diagnostic AI to catch conditions that might otherwise be missed. In these roles, the human's judgment, creativity, and domain expertise become more valuable, not less. PwC's data shows that professionalized roles are seeing stronger headcount growth and higher wage growth than their counterparts. The second path is the democratized track. Here, AI makes it easier for non-experts to perform tasks that previously required training or specialized knowledge. While this sounds empowering, and in some respects it is, the economic consequence is that these roles become commoditized. When more people can do a job with AI assistance, the wage premium for doing that job erodes. Workers in democratized roles face a more challenging outlook. Perhaps equally significant is another finding. Companies that are most capable of deploying AI are accelerating away from their competitors. This creates a compounding dynamic. AI leaders attract top talent, generate productivity gains, and reinvest those gains into further AI capability. Laggards, meanwhile, risk being stuck with a workforce concentrated in commoditized roles. For policymakers, this research is a serious warning. The two-track labor market risks deepening inequality, rewarding those already holding expert credentials while squeezing those in accessible entry-level roles. The critical question now is how to build pathways that help workers move from the democratized track to the professionalized one before the gap becomes insurmountable. PwC's barometer may be the most important annual employment research release of the AI era. Story 2, Orchestra 01, Omnimodal Agent Orchestration. A new benchmark called MA-ProofBench is drawing attention in the AI research community for exposing just how far current large language models are from mastering advanced formal mathematics. Introduced by Lushi Pu and 8 colleagues and submitted to arXiv in June 2026, the benchmark focuses specifically on mathematical analysis, a domain covering topics like measure theory, complex analysis, and functional analysis that existing benchmarks have largely ignored in favor of more tractable areas like algebra and elementary number theory. The researchers compiled 200 formally verified theorems across 6 core topics and 27 subcategories, split into 2 difficulty tiers, undergraduate level and PhD qualifying level. Each problem was built through a human-led pipeline, assisted by LLMs, but reviewed by independent domain experts to ensure mathematical accuracy. When they ran the benchmark against a range of state-of-the-art models, the results were striking in a discouraging way. The best-performing model, GPT-5.5, managed only 16% on the undergraduate tier under the pass at 8 metric, meaning it succeeded in at least one correct proof out of 8 attempts only about one time in 6. On the PhD qualifying tier, GPT-5.5 dropped to just 5%. Most other models hovered near 0% on the harder problems. The team identified 2 main reasons for these failures. First, MATLAB hallucination, where models confidently cite lemmas that simply do not exist in the formal proof library. Second, incomplete proofs are arguments that start plausibly but stall before reaching a valid conclusion. Importantly, the researchers also tested a natural language version of the same problems and found that models performed significantly better there, revealing a gap between informal mathematical understanding and the ability to construct verified formal proofs. This matters because formal proofs carry a guarantee that natural language arguments do not. If we want AI systems that can be trusted in software verification, automated research, or rigorous educational tools, this gap needs to close. MA-ProofBench gives the community a reliable baseline to measure that progress against. Story 3, Capability Minimization as a Safety Primitive. Risk-aware causal gating for least privilege LLM agents. A community article on Hugging Face is making the rounds as a practical guide to the best open-source large language models available heading into 2026, and it makes a case that the open-source AI ecosystem has crossed a meaningful threshold. The author, Daya Shankar, argues that open-weight models are no longer just a budget substitute for closed APIs. For coding, reasoning, agentic workflows, and local deployment, they are now genuinely good enough for serious production use. The guide ranks models across 6 practical factors: task performance, developer fit, hardware requirements, license freedom, API cost, and how trustworthy the benchmark scores actually are. That last point matters because official self-reported benchmarks, third-party leaderboard scores, and independent evaluations are not the same thing, and the differences can be large. For the best overall frontier model, the article points to Kimi K26 and DeepSeek V4 Pro, citing their strength in coding, reasoning, agentic workflows, and long context support. For local deployment on consumer hardware, Gemma 426B stands out because despite having 26 billion total parameters, it only activates 3.8 billion at inference time thanks to a sparse mixture of experts architecture. That means strong capability without needing an expensive server GPU. Llama 4 Scout earns the long context crown with a 10 million token context window and 109 billion total parameters. On the licensing front, QN3 and Gemma 4 both carry Apache 2 licenses, while 5.4 uses MIT, making them cleaner choices for commercial products. The article also flags a distinction that many developers overlook: the difference between truly open-source models, where training data and code are also available, and open-weight models, where only the weights are released. That distinction has real legal consequences for organizations that need to audit, fine-tune, or certify their AI systems. The bottom line is that the open-source AI space has matured rapidly, and practitioners now have strong options across nearly every major use case without being locked into closed provider APIs. Story 4, Refusal Beyond a Single Direction, a preliminary comparison of Diff-in-Means and INLP. This alignment research paper challenges the finding that safety refusal in LLMs is mediated by a single linear direction in the residual stream. It compares difference in means, DI-M, interventions against iterative null space projection, INLP, methods across 5 open-weight models, with implications for understanding and improving model safety fine-tuning. Story 5, When Sample Selection Bias Precipitates Model Collapse. This paper investigates model collapse, where recursive training on synthetic data erodes model quality, showing that even data selection strategies can fail when the verifier operates on a biased or limited sample. The findings are critical for the growing practice of using AI-generated data in LLM training pipelines. Story 6, Hybrid Open-Ended Tri-Evolution Makes Better Deep Researcher. This paper proposes a hybrid open-ended evolutionary framework for AI deep research agents, enabling autonomous retrieval and integration of information while dynamically evolving agent capabilities. It targets limitations of static parametric deep research systems and advances agentic approaches to open-ended real-world research tasks. Story 7. UP-NRPA. User portrait-based nested rollout policy adaptation for planning with large language models in goal-oriented dialogue systems. UP-NRPA introduces an online LLM-based dialogue planning framework that dynamically adapts to diverse user characteristics using user portraits, eliminating the need for offline RL policy training. The approach enables real-time customization of dialogue strategies, improving goal-oriented conversational AI without requiring model retraining. Story 8. MA-ProofBench. A two-tiered evaluation of LLMs for Theorem proving in mathematical analysis. MA-ProofBench introduces a new benchmark specifically targeting LLM performance on mathematical analysis theorem proving, an area underrepresented in current benchmarks that skew toward algebra and elementary number theory. The two-tiered evaluation framework tests deeper reasoning capabilities required for formal mathematical proofs. Story 9. Best open-source LLM models in 2026. Coding Local Agentic AI. A Hugging Face community article cataloging the best open-source LLMs available in 2026, organized by use case including coding, local deployment, and agentic workflows. It covers practical deployment considerations such as quantized models, MOE architectures, and hardware requirements for running large open-weight models. Story 10. AI reshapes global labor market into two distinct paths. PwC 2026 AI Jobs Barometer. PwC's 2026 AI Jobs Barometer finds that AI adoption is bifurcating the global labor market, with companies that effectively leverage AI expanding hiring faster than peers, while others fall behind. The report highlights growing demand for AI-adjacent skills, including data literacy and leadership in AI-forward organizations.